This is an ADC warning. The crimes you're about to see are true. Only the names were changed to protect the ignorant. Tonight, on America's Dumbest Criminals, a girlfriend who bails out her beau. Frightening footage with a happy ending. And the dumbest DUI excuse ever made. These are just a few of America's Dumbest Criminals. Welcome to America's Dumbest Criminals. I'm Daniel Butler. You know, the minute you decide to break the law, you become dumb. And when the going gets dumb, the dumb get caught. And we've got the proof. You're about to meet the cream of the criminally coddled as we open the files on America's Dumbest Criminals. In our first case, an undercover officer from Birmingham tells us of a deadly chase.
We were serving a warrant on this house, and when we made entry, myself and several officers with the narcotics unit here, we secured the individuals inside the house, and there was this large guy, male about 23 years old. What happened when we came in, we can smell that they've been doing drugs. And when he was being escorted into a room to be searched, he got an idea about escaping, even though we had the perimeter all secured. So as he got to the room, he just barreled his head down and headed straight for the window.
Our dumb criminal is about to learn his ABCs. A, the window is closed. B, he's on the second floor, not the first. And C, he cannot fly.
Myself and other officers, when we looked out, and there he was, straight down, he hit the ground. We thought for sure he was dead. We're looking at him, and all of a sudden he pops up, starts running from us now. When we get behind him, he then dives off about a 8 to 10 foot drop off, handcuffed behind him. He dives off into the brush. When he does, the tree impels him into the chest. And then you hear it snap, big old snap, hits the ground and pops back up, starts running again. So about this time, we're all, what are we gonna do when we catch this guy? I mean, he done fell out 2 stories and went through this tree. So anyways, we get the guy stopped, we get him back over to the house, and he's sitting there and he's apologizing for jumping out the window. He had some other lacerations, but he had no broken bones.
The draped crusader had made his final curtain call. The man later told police he was giving up drugs and alcohol, citing they were just too hard on the body. You can be arrested for molesting an alligator in Miami, Florida. But in Pensacola during a cold snap, you can wear weasels as gloves. And now, actual surveillance cam footage from the dashboard of a trooper's car. It's a brush with death we call citizen's arrest. This trooper just pulled over a car for a minor traffic violation on an interstate highway. As he's ticketing the vehicle, a pickup truck loses control. The pickup truck brushed the trooper's left hip. The rearview mirror slapped the trooper in the left shoulder, but the trooper is not seriously hurt. The pickup truck did not slow down or stop. He fled the scene of the accident. The people who had been stopped for the traffic violation were concerned about the trooper's safety, but he was fine and back in his car within moments, in pursuit of the dummy in the pickup. Fortunately, a citizen driving on the interstate who saw the whole thing also gave pursuit. Moments later, he had made a citizen's arrest. This driver was dangerously dumb. You know, we've all heard the term, the clothes make the man. Well, those words were never more true than in our next story. Officer Brad Burris tells us why.
It was in about February, it was kind of cold, and it was on day shift. And me and another officer were pulling into a pawn shop. I parked right next to another vehicle, and a lady was in there counting her money. And I got out of the car, and I walked over to the front door of the pawn shop, and then just as soon as I walk in, the lady runs in right behind me and says she got robbed.
Male, white, green jacket, outbound truck. Step back inside. Go back inside.
I get in my car, I circulate about 2 blocks, and I see this guy walking across this little field. heavy-set guy, and it's pretty cold outside, and all he's wearing is a T-shirt, and he's sweating bullets. So I figured maybe he probably did a little running, and so I got out and started talking to him. Went over there where he was standing, and there's the lady's money, and there's a green jacket that he was described as wearing with like a leather collar on it. And he's swearing up down it's not his jacket. He just walked by there. It's not his jacket. So I asked him if he had any identification on him. He handed me his driver's license.
I just gave it to you, man. That's my
Is that
driver's.
your picture in that
Hey,
license?
I gave you that license. It's my
Then this
picture
is
on
your
it.
jacket.
Oh, yeah? How you figure that, man?
Because you're wearing it in this picture.
Coming up on America's Dumbest Criminals, a dumb criminal who can't tell a front from the back. If you're a law enforcement officer, active or retired, and you've ever had an encounter with a dumb criminal, then we need your stories. Just write it down and send it to America's Dumbest Criminals. Post Office Box 1628, Franklin, Tennessee 37065. We do compensate officers for stories, or reach us on the internet. Welcome back. Next, the story of a gang who suffered from an extreme form of peer pressure. Officer Studevant and his partner spotted a stolen car in Birmingham. They gave chase, and almost immediately, the dumb criminals hit a telephone pole. Now, there were 5 suspects inside the car and only 2 officers. Now, ordinarily, that meant that 3 of the suspects would get away just from the simple math of it. But these guys ran in a pack. They never broke up. They were like the Siamese suspects. It was like the Keystone Crooks. Finally, falling down in the middle of the road, they were captured and immediately enrolled in the Witness Protection Program. Now, actual footage of a dumb criminal who took a test drive to trouble. This helicopter is searching for a man who left a car dealership in this car for a test drive. He never returned. Then, chased by police, he fled from the car and ended up here in the middle of a swollen, freezing, flooded river. Shivering and freezing all night, stranded in the middle of the river, the fire department had to rescue our robber the next day. Our would-be Noah was taken, shivering, back to the hospital, and then charged with grand theft auto, which is all in a day's work for a dumb criminal. This next story involves a smooth-talking convenience store robber who says 2 words too many.
This here is a story about a robber. He walked into this Quick Mart and decided he was going to rob it.
You working by yourself today?
And there was a girl behind the counter, and he told her to back away from the cash register.
We'll rob a store. And don't hit that button under the counter.
I wasn't. Hey, how do you know about that button?
He says, I've been doing this for a long time. He says, I've been robbing places since I was 11 years old.
They're gonna catch you, you know.
You'd have to get up pretty early in the morning to catch old Bo Ramsey.
The intensive manhunt took, 30 seconds. The United States has more lawyers than any other country in the world. There are 846,000 active or resident attorneys in the U.S. today. We also have the most ambulances, which might account for the unusually high number of attorneys. And now we take you inside the courtroom for trial and error. Let's hear how a would-be robber at a fast food restaurant arrives just ahead of schedule.
Now, Mr. Davey, what happened that morning when the man stepped up to the counter and demanded the money?
I said, I can't give you any money because the cash drawer isn't open.
And when he told you to open the cash drawer?
I said it won't open without a food order.
And when he ordered the onion rings?
I said, I'm sorry, they're not available for breakfast food. That's when he turned around and stomped off.
Performing acrobatics that would frighten horses is illegal in Denver, Colorado. However, bad contortionists can terrify goats. Captain Don Parker tells us about a dumb criminal who gets stung after the sting.
We were involved in a sting operation one time here at the Sheriff's Department. It was, we had a fake pawn shop set up where the people came and sold us goods, and we videotaped them and recorded them and all that. It went on for months. At the conclusion of the operation, we shut the thing down, went out on big arrest parties. We must have arrested 30 or 40 people that had sold us stolen goods. We recovered everything from 18-wheelers down to stolen silverware, if you can imagine that. We attracted national attention. We had media from all over the country come in, and it went on for a week. I mean, it was a media feeding frenzy because the video was so good and the audio was so good. Everybody just loved it. A week after the pawn shop has been closed, we have had nothing but non-stop news coverage. We send a team out there to tear out our stuff, you know, get the equipment out of there, close the building up, and so on. We've got a great big old truck from the jail that says Escambia County Jail. We've got a couple of prisoner trustees to do the hard labor, 2 guards, and a couple of plainclothes deputies. As they pull up at the front of our closed-up pawn shop, there's a guy sitting on the front steps with a beard. He looks at this entourage, recognizes one of our undercover agents who had worked the thing, waves to him. The guy walks over, and the bad guy says, "Where you been?" He said, "We've been around, what's up?" Reaches in his pocket, pulls out 3 stolen Social Security checks. He said, "Well," he said, "I got 3 Social Security checks. I'll sell them to you 10 cents on the dollar." I said, "No problem. I'll be happy to take them." He takes them, arrests them on the spot, of course. And of course, they got the handcuffs on them. They're putting them back in the cruiser car. And nobody could resist. So they had to ask him. He said, "Didn't you recognize the Escambia County Jail truck? Didn't you recognize the fact that these were guards?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I thought you stole the truck and you were fixing to sell it down here."
Coming up, a motorist who picks a designated driver a little too late on America's Dumbest Criminals. Hi, and welcome back to America's Dumbest Criminals. You know, when David Payton was arrested for a string of vending machine robberies, of course, he denied the charges. The man was arrested and booked, and his bond was set at $400. The suspected snack machine sneak was allowed his 1 phone call. Then the accused vending violator waited for his girlfriend to arrive with the $400 bail, which she did. All 1,600 quarters. A 2-bit thief who needs to get a life and a new girlfriend. Police horses in New York get a 15-minute break for every 2 hours they work. But in Wisconsin, dairy cows get an hour-and-a-half nap every day. Officer Brian Barton told our ABC crew about a particular drunk who chose the wrong designated driver.
Okay, I was in the downtown area, and they put out on the radio about a vehicle involved in an accident and gave a description. A few blocks away from the accident, or the scene of the accident, I observed the vehicle with a lot of damage to the driver's side of the car.
I got the tag track on it.
When I stopped the vehicle, there were 4 individuals in it. The only door they could come out was the passenger door, and they started coming out the passenger door of the car.
Hey, sir, you in the back seat? Exit the vehicle first, please. Everyone follow. Man, I told you shouldn't have... Rear of the vehicle, please. Thank you.
The driver, being the last individual coming out of the car, crawled across the front seat, obviously intoxicated. And as he got out and got to his feet, he kind of leaned up against me, poked me with his elbow, and he said, "Tell him you was driving."
ADC quiz number 1213. The largest jewelry heist ever recorded occurred on July 12, 1987 in London, England. How many millions in precious jewels did the thieves steal? A, $12 million. B, enough to keep Ivana Trump happy? Or C, $40 million worth of jewels? The correct answer was C. The thieves stole $40 million in precious jewels, almost enough to keep Ivana Trump happy. And now, actual footage of a bank robber known as the Stinky Bandit. This man had robbed many banks, and he was caught on surveillance cam more than once. but he was identified by everyone, all of his victims, all of the bank tellers, by his unusually repugnant body odor. Yes, this man robbed banks, but he obviously didn't bathe, and everyone smelled a rat. It's too bad we don't have smell-o-vision. You know, sometimes to catch an evasive suspect, the police must have dogged determination, even when they don't have a dog. Here's 25-year Birmingham veteran Johnny Cooley with a story we call No Dog Night.
This woman had been divorced from her husband, and he kept coming around and harassing her. And he did this like 5 or 6 times a week. Every night we'd get a call up there, her husband's back up there. Well, every time we would go up there, he would see lights coming down the road. Well, he would run into the woods behind our house. So we never could catch him. So one night we were fairly close, and she sent me up there as a backup with another car. Well, you know, we went around the house. He went this way, and I went around this way. Nowhere in sight. So we got to looking in the backyard, and we noticed that the door was open that goes underneath the house.
He's in there. You open the door.
You ready?
Yeah.
Police department, come on out!
We happened just to look in there and shine our light, and he was crawled up in a crawl space underneath the house and had a pistol in there with him. He said, y'all don't come in. Says, I'm gonna shoot if y'all come through that hole.
Come on out with your hands up! Come on out!
And we tried to talk him to, you know, to come out, and he wouldn't do it. So I told my buddy, I said, I made sure he could hear me. I said, well, about the only way we're gonna get him out of there is call a K9 unit. Go ahead and call a K9. Let's get a dog started over here. We'll get a couple of German Shepherds, and he'll come out.
Come on out! I'm gonna send those dogs in. I'm gonna call a K9 unit. You're gonna have to come on in here and get me.
So, in a few minutes, I told my buddy, I said, go see if the dogs are here yet. You know, he did. He stomped his feet. He was standing right there. He come back just a second, and he says, yeah, they're here, so where you want them? Said, we need to put them in this crawl space right here. He's up underneath that brick column right up there. Go ahead and unleash your dogs. And my buddy was standing there. He was going, whoo, 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 whoo. Woo, 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 woo.
Come on out!
Woo, 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 woo. And this guy says, don't put them dogs in here.
All right, don't put them dogs in here. Don't put someone else's dog in. I'm coming out. Stay down now. Keep your head down. Come on out. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Other hand, other hand.
And I handcuffed him and got him up, started walking.
Stand
and
up.
he was looking.
Where's them dogs at?
Oh, man, y'all done fooled me.
Life on the other side of the law isn't glamorous at all. It's just plain stupid. Well, that's all the time we have for this show. We'd like to thank the men and women of law enforcement throughout the country for their dedication and their stories. I'm Daniel Butler saying, don't be dumb, don't break the law, or we'll catch you next time on America's Dumbest Criminals.
Bye.